How are you?
Fine.
Good.
Just back from a wonderful 10 days out of Bear Island and
Oh,
hanging out in the eastern Penobscot Bay.
I
Yeah,
knew you're out there, and I didn't know for
spectacular.
how long, but what a
Yeah.
treat. And so did Mary and Grant both get there, or?
Grant didn't get up. He's
Okay.
coming for the Common Rep Fair
Great.
next week.
Good.
Mary had she took 3 weeks off and went sailing her boat. And in the middle of that joined us there in Bear Island for a while
And
and sailed back
Andy
with
too, right?
Andy was in, yeah. So family from New Mexico. They live in Santa Fe, but she describes that place 25 square miles surrounded by reality.
That is me too. And she's got Santa Fe.
That's why I'm changing her
So that's a pretty good combination. Sarah, how are you? Busy,
Yeah.
Never go home, and it seems.
No.
Wow.
I'm taking classes at the main school of ministry to be ordained at some point, so.
Where's that? Is that part of something else or?
It's run by the United Church of Christ Conference, so their offices are in Augusta. Most of the classes have been on Zoom, but this semester, one of them's in person.
Must
So.
be like the only. Hey, it's so amazing right now.
Yeah, there are no seminaries left,
Yeah.
because Bangor left quite a while ago.
That's interesting. And are you sort of hoping it will intersect with your public service, or are you thinking of it as a separate altogether?
Well, actually, right now, so I went into this, wanting to be ordained so that I could, be a substitute preacher, because there are so many small churches that can't afford or don't have
Yeah,
full-time or even part-time ministers
Yeah.
right now. With the idea that this would be, I'd do that and then be able to do it occasionally, and then maybe when I retire, do it more full-time sort of.
yeah.
Well, instead it's turned into, I'm actually, preaching 3 or 4 times a month,
Oh,
because churches don't mind that I'm not ordained, I don't do any of the sacraments or anything.
They just
But,
need somebody good to
Yeah,
speak.
so I'm already doing what I love.
What he's
So-
leading up to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm just trying to get through the courses so that I can be officially,
That's wonderful.
yeah, or at least licensed.
That's so neat.
Yeah.
So I went through the little chaplaincy institute of Maine program in Portland,
Oh,
which
okay.
is an interfaith chaplaincy program.
Yep.
So I'm an ordained interfaith chaplain.
Oh,
Which
very
is a
nice.
different kettle, but
Yep.
but not entirely, like some people are like you, they have a very clear, mission
Yeah,
of wanting to.
someday I'll be the Reverend Doctor.
Yeah, that's
You have
great,
the doctor
Sarah. I'm so glad.
Sorry, missus, I'll get it from you
Oh,
later.
Just another one
Steve
for
was,
me.
I think, hoping to join on Zoom, so hopefully he'll jump in, and then, Ken is unavailable tonight, but I think this is it for tonight. So I wanted to go over a few things. One, thank you to everybody so far who's, been able to sign up on the, chapter sign up. Were you able to get into it?
Yes, I finally did, and
Okay.
I'll sign up for transportation and a couple of other that are blank
Perfect.
right now, because I was on the transportation committee before.
Okay,
So
perfect.
that'd be a good review and update for me to tackle.
Okay, and I'll remind the others that we need folks to, sign up for the rest of them,
So
so.
there are a couple others too that I'll sign up for, I realized because I served before, like soils and wetlands, I think
Yep.
there's a lot of information that wouldn't take you too long to get.
Okay, perfect.
So I'll go back and do that, I was thinking about that this morning.
And what my plan was, if this sounds good to all of you, is, once we've got everybody signed up, I will then, meet with each group to make sure that you have the previous chapters, are clear on where any, updates have been made, or if there's been drafts in the past, and some of you have worked on drafts, but, and then make sure that you have any of the new data that we received from the state, and exactly what you need to do with it.
Do we have 2023?
We do, so I saw your email, we actually do have, data that we got this spring, which is the most recent.
And, if I remember, I forgot when I left the committee, it was, when I went on to Broadband, but, The whole thing seemed pretty cumbersome, going from an old draft. Was that pared down, or we just have to focus on our little sections?
We'll just need to get in there and,
I think it needs a hatchet job, actually. I mean, given the, all the history and all that, maybe that's not our role tonight, but boy, it would be nice to have a really streamlined plan.
Wait, are you talking about streamlining the whole plan?
Yeah,
or-
yeah, I was just wondering how far we're going, or
No.
I just have to update this and that's it?
yes.
For the moment.
Yep.
We've got.
At least for the majority of it, because as I was catching Peter up and, as you know, a lot of it is just putting down the facts and characteristics of the situation we have now with whatever topic. And then where we'll actually put in new information is once we get a new survey back and once we have our public sessions. So there are definitely new pieces that will go in there.
Or do you want anything, pieces like the housing issue is huge, in my opinion? Yeah, everything is huge.
Yeah, everything is huge.
But, do you want anything about, what interests me about the housing, having worked in housing before, everything's pivotal for everything else,
Yeah.
but, Heather has the economy part. All of it intertwines. Do you want a piece about, that we take to a public meeting that talks more about strategy or where we could go with options of what's really essential for the town at this juncture?
So I guess two things on that. One, it will be important when we schedule our meetings, which I wanna talk about in a couple minutes, in terms of our public sessions. I think it's gonna be important to have certain prompts or at least questions for people to think about, to come with ideas and opinions about things. So I think the short answer is yes, I think there are some ideas and strategies that we all as a committee should be bringing to these meetings, for whichever issue it is. At the same time, leaving it open for whatever the public would like to give us for
Right.
feedback.
I just didn't want it totally open, that there's no structure to having,
Right,
put work into it, that,
and on the other hand, I don't want us to put in so much work that then if it totally doesn't match with any of what the public says, we've wasted our time and we need to totally rewrite.
or try to help educate you.
I mean, I remember, Sean maybe help me out, but as I remember, we get into, eventually, we'll create a future land use plan and we'll create strategies that we think would support our recommendations.
Is that what you did last time with Esther?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's still part of the mandate, and so there's gonna be room for all that, but I think you have it on your head anyways, and, we'll get to it, but.
And that's also where, Lincoln County Regional Planning can help us out a lot in terms of how we do structure. As you know, they've done tons of these sessions with all different towns, so they can help us with the structure and the prompts and whatever strategies we wanna bring to that, to then get feedback on, so.
okay. Well, I won't go overboard on it. If I don't do it in this venue, I might do it in another venue.
So I would say first step for us is just to get everything updated. So don't worry about any strategies at the moment.
There's a lot of money out there for housing, so if we have a strategy,
That's
we wanna do
great.
what we wanna, I shouldn't say a lot of money, I mean, given the problem of housing, it's not a lot.
Yeah, but
But there is money out there, so if we spend all our time, process and this, the town may lose that opportunity for the resources that we have. So,
You may be able,
Absolutely.
I mean, that maybe something needs to be moved on faster than the comp plan, but it could be consistent with the comp plan,
Yeah, I'll nose around anyway, because I'm interested.
Yeah.
And we'll come back to the planning sessions in just a second. So I'll send out a reminder for folks to fill in, the different chapters, and like I said, I'll contact everybody and get everybody up to speed, make sure you have all the documents you need, answer questions, all that. The survey, so as you all know, there was a survey, the most recent responses are over a year old at this point. Is anyone opposed to doing a new one? We have the money to do it.
I would be happy to do a new one. I actually had great misgivings about the one we sent out. It felt very
Okay,
discombobulated to me, so I think it would be amazing to put together a tighter, more focused survey.
I agree. Definitely. And I think we can do better with publicity too.
Yeah.
There are, a little over 200 responses, I think, to the last one, which as surveys go is not awful, but, it would be nice to have a better response. So I'm thinking particularly we can do things like we can have, somebody at the polls or outside the polls where you can sit, to let people know that we're doing a new survey, like we could get it going by then, by November. And try to get more people, that kind of thing, so,
I'm still take it home.
yeah.
You can also do one of those links and post it, for people, what do they call it?
QR code.
QR. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, so we'll, and I imagine we'll do both. Last time we had paper copies available at the town office and at the community center, people would prefer
Yeah, I
that.
think you have to do both.
Yeah, for sure.
The one thing I haven't looked into this at all, but I, in the back of my mind, I keep thinking, should we wait and do the survey till we know more of the questions we want answered, you know? Like, I don't know, like Carla, you're trying
Yeah,
so I don't know, I mean, I think we should all think about that as we ponder surveys.
because most people aren't in this mode of thinking, really,
No.
and so,
And they don't
I'd
necessarily.
rather give, more time as well before we do a survey, personally.
I think some things might bubble up that we really want answered by the public.
Well, and they don't necessarily know the list of chapters,
Yeah.
like unless they've been listening into the meetings,
Yeah,
so.
anyway, something for us to ponder.
Are we just talking about the historic one at this point, or are we talking? about
No, this is a survey, so the last survey addressed everything, like
Yeah.
all town services that you want or need or feel like are adequate. Where there are several open-ended questions like, where do you see the town in 10 years, that kind of thing. So it was pretty large, as Anne's alluding to, and a bit bulky, so I think we can streamline it a lot better this time around. Basically, it's one of several tools we can use to get feedback, others being workshops, public meetings, whatever.
And once we get our pieces together, who is going to write the whole thing, or knit them together?
I guess that's me.
Yeah.
Slash with Lincoln County Regional Planning's help, like that's something we're working on putting into their contract, 'cause
Plus, you're supposed to play tennis with me, so where you get it all in.
So, but that is one of the things that they specifically help with, is make sure that it's streamlined and it doesn't sound like 14 people, different people wrote it, so. Good. Okay, so it sounds like we should probably just get started on the chapters first, see where we go with those, and then put together the survey. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think so.
And as you're looking at the chapters, be thinking about what would I wanna ask the public as we're going through
Yeah,
these.
good question, yeah.
Yeah, good questions, and fundamental questions that kind of get to the heart of some of the bigger issues the town is facing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and then, so in terms of timeline, I'm trying to be realistic. So our next meeting, we'll stick with second Wednesday of the month, if that is generally good for folks, and it's fine if they're doing this occasionally, so. So October 11th, so I guess what I was hoping is that we'd be able to get an initial start on all the chapters by the next meeting.
Okay.
And come back with some initial feedback as to how things are going, if you're encountering issues, and any questions that are coming up. So, basically, I would be in touch no later than next week to meet with everybody, or at least have a phone call about it, to make sure that you have what you need. Does that sound realistic? To at least get started, definitely don't need to be finished. It's all work.
I'm around next week. I'm not around.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I'm still a little bit in the dark about this.
it's okay.
Is the state does the state give us a series of questions that we have to then ask the public? Is there a form that we're supposed to be filling out?
So they don't give us specific questions, they do give us a checklist of all the areas for each of the chapters that we have to address, and then it's up to us to address them the way we feel is appropriate. But in terms of any public input, there are certainly suggestions out there, but we determine how and when and what we ask from the public.
And how about overlap with some of the other committees, like there's a, environmental committee that meets Mondays or something like that. And then this has a chapter on wetlands or whatever. So is that do they coordinate with one another, or are they totally separate?
Yes, so for example, like when we get to education, the school board will definitely be involved in terms of, we will want them to look at the chapter, we'll be relying on them and Kim, the superintendent, for any data that we need outside of what we already have, that kind of thing. Same thing with like, there's a waterfront committee, so we would want them to look at probably a couple of different chapters, because they're working on kind of long-term planning that we hope will be all integrated into this too. So the short answer is yes, definitely. We're gonna integrate, but we've gotta get the initial updates done on the chapters first.
Is there a deadline for this, for instance, or did we already go past that?
We're kind of already past that, but there, as I was mentioning earlier, it's not that, as far as I know, there's no real penalty. They just want you to get it done.
Yeah, check it off.
Yeah, and obviously, we'd all rather not have this drag on for 2 more years.
But we like it.
Yeah.
Fun to meet now and again.
It's a social life.
So in terms of sequence, so we'll do that, and I'll make sure to be in touch with and touch base with everybody between now and next week, or at some point next week. Make sure everybody can get started, just get done when you can, at least take a look and see what you're gonna have to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll be looking at them before I talk to you, so I'll be able to give you a general sense of if this is a big lift, and if it is, we'll make sure more than one person is on it, that kind of thing. We don't want people to feel like you're out in left field on your own, trying to make this stuff up, so,
And you're gonna send it updated data.
yes. Well, that's actually in the Google folder.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
The state got it, yeah,
Yep,
Oh, great.
about a half a gigabyte of it.
Oh, really?
yeah, it's a very large file.
Can we get it on DSL, do you think?
Oh, yes.
We've been trying to help
Okay.
you.
I know.
You've been trying.
I know.
It's not
Carl,
going well.
thank you, I know.
Really, on the- on
I'm
the-
not blaming you.
You know, well, it's a whole other.
Okay, yeah,
We have too good cable where we don't rate high enough.
I see, yeah.
Even though the town responded and the county is putting money in and we're ready to go. And it's another story.
I have a question about, your check-in with us,
Yeah.
on committees where there are already 2 people, for instance, Peter and I both signed up for Star Resources or whatever it's called. Should we try to talk before you talk to us, or do you want us?
No, don't feel
Okay.
like we have to.
All right. Okay,
And then I'll find a time where we can Zoom or have
Okay.
coffee or whatever, and
All
we'll go over everything.
okay.
Great, if that works, yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about was sort of timing and possible formats, and like I said, this Lincoln County can help us with the format a bit more, but in terms of timing for public sessions and other forms of public input, what we think in terms of how soon we should start that, and it sounds like we're all on the same page that we should get some chapter work done first to know what some of those questions are, but any thoughts about times we should avoid, obviously around the holidays, but do you think it would work in maybe late October, early November to start that kind of thing?
So this would be like saying to the public, we're gonna present transportation.
Yep.
You know, broadband committee and historic resources, we invite you to come and give us your thoughts.
Yeah, so my thought is we would take a couple, we won't do 14 sessions, but we'll we'll group them and we'll have them on Zoom as well as in person, so everybody can be there.
If people are ready, we could start them. I mean, if somebody's got their chapters or their questions.
Well, and that's true, we could start as the chapters are done, because some chapters are more done than others.
And to present, so at those meetings, we would present a draft section or 2 or 3 and invite people to give their input.
So there's a few different ways you can do it. Generally, you give at least an overview of, and just like an introduction to the chapter. Here's what's in it, here's just setting the scene for it.
Yeah.
And then there's a number, like there are even exercises that you can do where, I'm trying to think of one of the examples that Emily gave me, where it was, there were all different options and people had slips of paper or marbles or something, and they put them in the different jars depending on what type of economic development they were interested in or that kind of thing, just to get a sense of levels of preference and that kind of thing. So there are lots of things like that that you can do other than simply asking people questions.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think how, like, I have this feeling when we finish a draft of a section, then we have something to show the public and say, what do you think of this? If we're still kind of sloshing around, I don't wanna have to have like 2 public input meetings, one when we're sloshing and then one when we have a draft. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe we should get their input right away before we create a chapter or a section.
I think it makes sense to get done the initial part that doesn't really require any kind of opinion
Just the
or,
update.
yeah, just the update of where we're at with the updated figures, facts, numbers.
Okay.
But
all
you could,
that.
you could possibly get implications of that, it's already in here, you know, implications of an aging population, for example.
Yeah,
What that means, and highlight it for people if they don't think about it.
yeah, okay, it's sort of like laying the groundwork. Yeah, for a public conversation. Even if we don't have a finished draft to say, this is what our committee recommends.
Cause I'm imagining that these drafts will not be in final form until well after we have the survey done and
That's fine.
all the public sessions. I
Yeah.
mean, they'll be in good shape, but we'll wanna be editing them up until we get that.
Yeah, and then I guess ultimately there'll be public hearings on the whole draft.
Yeah, and a vote.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, down the road, we have to vote on it as a town.
Where, forgot I did agree with somebody in the old one mentioned childcare, where does that fit in terms of this with the economy? I mean, in a way, it affects the economy and labor force totally.
It might be in public facilities and services. I'm not 100% sure about that.
It should be front and center in the economy, so, I mean, even if it's in that section, Heather should, anyway, we can talk about it.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be some overlap,
Yeah.
in a number of these, so. So yeah, like I said, I'm imagining this first pass of these is just the simplest stuff where we've got data we can fill in that says it was first, it's 2008 in the draft, and now that we have 2021 or 2020, whatever it is,
Yeah.
we put that, yeah.
Yeah.
So just the basic stuff we have to update. Or things like, we don't have a historic preservation committee, so updating the section if it says like we're going to have one. We
Yeah.
tried that and we don't have one anymore.
Right, so sort of recording what's happened between the last. comp
Yes.
plan, yeah.
So anything that is not up to date. So,
Do you still have copies of some of the examples of what towns have done recently? I mean, when I got off the committee, I just kind of dumped, I printed everything, I dumped my file.
you're too efficient,
Shouldn't
Paula.
have done that. I mean, I'm a paper person.
I believe, several of them are online. I'm trying to think, there were 2 examples near us.
Was it Booth Bay or Damascus?
I wanna say Damascus,
Might be kind of a
Yeah.
recent
Because
one.
it was
We
compact.
recently did one,
It was
yeah.
more compact and I liked it. Yeah.
and I think I'm pretty sure that one's on my website.
Oh, okay.
I think I looked at it at one point. Actually, that's a good idea. I'll make a note if, cause that might be helpful to have. I could give you another town's comparable chapters, so you can see what a finished
Yeah.
product recently
I think
looks
they all
like.
hired, they
Okay,
all hired consultants, I think, to do it.
some of them, did. There's one town that, like 5 of them wrote every single word, I mean, it was, they didn't,
Yeah,
and they did a really good job, but that's what they chose to do, they didn't.
isn't that amazing? I think, Emily mentioned that at our last meeting, that's really impressive. I think it was during COVID, so a lot of people didn't have any.
Yeah.
City choir.
Yeah.
Choir.
Okay. That would be good. All right. And then be thinking about whether, I think just to be efficient, be thinking about whether you would be interested in putting together a draft of the new survey. I think it probably makes sense for like 2 or 3 or 4 of us to do that and then present it to the committee and we can all workshop it, but at least to get a first
I'm
draft.
happy to help.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help too. We can, at least for a starting point.
Okay,
And
and
then
then,
the results from the last survey, is that also in our document, good.
yeah, so I would
Pour
definitely.
over those.
Yeah, definitely, I would encourage you to, just scroll through all the different stuff that's in there, including, the last comp plan.
Yep, okay.
And this is on the committee's website.
No, it's the Google link I sent.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, cause I don't even know if my website works anymore.
Oh.
It was not a town website,
Oh, I
it
see.
was a link from the town website.
So I was just gonna ask if you could send those to me again, but you're not sure.
Oh, no, the ones I sent originally, I can resend. Those all work, yeah, that's just a Google, folder,
Okay.
Google Drive, so. All right. I think that's it, we have a plan. Meet with everybody.
Less than a half an hour.
Now the real work begins.
Now we have to go home and do it.
All right, so I will look forward to being in touch with everybody next week. This weekend I'll get together everything, so we'll be ready to go and we'll just start making progress.
I remember I put some notes when I signed up for stuff, and I can't remember what they said, but you'll see some notes. Like, I think I suggested that ag and forest resources be put into the natural resources section rather than
Yes.
broken out, so there, I can't remember what else I said, but.
How many other people, who else, I know, what's her name, Mary Finn and,
Yeah, I need to talk to her, cause she said she's not sure that she wants to do
what
it.
else to do?
Unfortunately, Heather has resigned from all of her committees, so,
Oh,
just some stuff going on, so.
Wait, Heather
Jones.
Jones, so won't be working on
She's
the
not
economy?
gonna, no.
Darn
oh,
it.
that's too bad.
But then,
Who's gonna do a comedy? Well, they all link, don't they?
yes, and then Kim Anderson, who just couldn't be here tonight, and, Steve Graffin was traveling today, so.
Did Steve sign up for some? Which one did he?
He has not signed up for any yet, but I'll make sure he does.
Is a neighbor?
So, and if you come across anybody else who would be interested in serving on the committee, we have room.
Spread the word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good, yeah.
All right, any other questions?
Not at the moment.
Okay, wonderful, thank you all.
Got volumes of homework.
Yep. You're gonna get assignments from this committee.
I have a whole,